going to be the hook combination, and we do see Variant onto the McCree. But Agriculture, 88%, 96% to Barrage! He's building so fast, the point hasn't even unlocked, and he's got it online!
And they do manage to get the flip there without having to really even win a fight. They have lost Cactus to that hook from Dongle, so a brief advantage here for the Bulldogs if they can push through, but Yeet goes in a little bit too deep there, able to be taken down the DPS of Capybara, able to get that kill.
Oh,
and
look for the back barrage!
Woo! He comes in from behind, and Agriculture gonna shut down any hopes of a push there for the Bulldogs.
That was such a sneaky fire, but it really did pay off. And now if you're Bulldogs, you're just looking to take this pharmacy out of the sky as quickly as possible, which means that Variant really does have to hit these shots.
Now he's going to have to put some pressure onto Agriculture, at least not let him fly free and build up this these barrages so quickly. But he's already halfway to another one after using that in the previous fight. So doing an excellent job, and all the while slowing the approach for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, Variant's only 58% to Deadeye, and Agriculture's 50% to the next barrage. You could actually see Fezza just give the McCree this nano, try to build Deadeye as fast as possible, and just take the Pharah out.
Certainly, and he is going to be able to deal with Agriculture, but Yeet, once again, going in aggressively on his own, gets taken down by Cactus, and with the res there, the boot from Agriculture gets a little bit of revenge. Capybara look firmly in control right now.
They do indeed, but I mean, Agriculture does actually go down to the McCree, which means that Deadeye is now up and ready. You're probably gonna wait to use it. It is 80%, so I mean, you want to just try and get in as fast as possible. We're approaching last fight territory, and if you're the Bulldogs, you haven't really found any answer to what the Capybaras are running on this map.
No, you haven't been able to dislodge either of the tanks for Capybara at this point. Now the High Noon out for Apollo, just zoning them away from the point. He's gonna take down Striker with that. Someone had to be there to trigger the overtime, and Variant not gonna be able to get as much with his, and that will be Capybara evening up things here on Ilios.
We have a series on our hands, Shy Guy. One apiece. And I mean, if Capybara just saw how effective DPS was on that map, surely they've got to run it again.
Surely, but you know, we saw the 3-3 from them on Lighthouse, and you could say that Ruins might be an even better point for it, but no, it's gonna be Apollo going over to the Widowmaker. Kind of a playground here for the sniper.
Well, I mean, there's so much open sightlines, you don't really want to run a Pharah into this. If you know that the enemy team has a capable Widow, there's not really much place you can hide. Yeet is still gonna be sticking with this Doomfist. I kind of want to see this guy swap off, because he seems to just go in and get absolutely shredded before he finds much of any value so far.
Yes, but this time at least there aren't going to be any stuns on the side of Capybara, so he'll be a little bit freer to get in the backline and wreak some havoc. But Agriculture matching him on the Doomfist this time. No more Pharah. Wants to see what he can do up close in person.
Well, we'll have to see. We saw this guy's phenomenal play on the Pharah. Whether he can level it out on his Doomfist. I'm going to be definitely looking forward to seeing what he can try and achieve. And that is the Widow gone. Actually, it's Yeet who picks that up.
Yeah, but he gets traded out, and the res is easily available for Capybara, so they're in a pretty solid position of 5v6 at this point. They have lost control of the point over to Bulldogs, but that doesn't look like it's going to last very long. Agriculture going in deep, landing all the cooldowns, building up those shields, and really decimating the Bulldogs.
And this is when you go, okay, the Doomfist is the carry, and you grab a Sombra. Sombra shuts down a Doomfist so effectively, we're going to see a little bit of a pause. I think there's been an unfortunate disconnect on the side of Capybaras.
Yes, it looks like Vexra has dropped out of the game briefly, so No Mercy is going to be a little bit rough here. That we'll wait to get them back into the game. Going to lose a little bit of ult charge there for Capybara, but otherwise, not a terrible situation here. They'll have plenty of time to get the Mercy back into the fight before the next round really kicks off.
Well, Valk, it builds pretty quickly. I do believe you get it at around about every 1,000 healing you do, so it's not as huge a loss as it would be as if, say, your Zarya DC'd. If your Zarya DC's, you don't just lose the ult charge, but you also lose the energy charge.
Certainly so. Not the worst case scenario for Capybara, and they are in control of points, so As this happens, as they get her back into the fight, they will be accruing percentage here and trying to build towards a second point here in Ilios to get the first map win of this event on the board.
Well, what we can probably expect to see is Bulldogs just take advantage of the unfortunateness that is a DC and just jump on point if they're going to be able to regroup in time. They did lose the Genji as that disconnect happened, so they might not be able to get back in time, and it's going to be Vexra who has to swap to the Lucio, just trying to get back before that team fight breaks out.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the pick that doesn't really bother you too much, especially on a control map like this. When you are the ones in control there, they're going to have the infrasights up from Apollo, so very dangerous to stick your head out right now if you are the Bulldogs. They're diving in deep now, trying to get onto the back line, but that biotic grenade is going to keep most of them safe. The nano blade, though, from Varia is just going to tear them to pieces. Comes up with a triple kill, and Bulldogs should get a pretty swift retake.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about dangerous? There is nothing more dangerous than a nanoblading Genji when the enemy team that you're blading into doesn't have a defensive ultimate. They don't have a Transcendence, they don't have a Sound Barrier, the Lucio only just switched. That's the safe blade.
Certainly, and now it's just up to how long can Capybara really stall things out. It's just Agriculture on the point at the moment, but Apollo gets back in time, and Agriculture has found some kills that could buy his team plenty of time. The nano boost onto Apollo. That McCree is scary when he's glowing like that, putting out tons of damage. Not quite getting the kill onto Doggle there, but will finish it off, and Capybara able to hold on.
I mean, they're gonna hold on. Vexra's probably gonna actually be able to build Sound Barrier in that stagger. And they just stick with the point. They refuse to let it go out of their cold, dead hands. And Bulldogs are left just kind of going, they threw a lot of ultimates into that. Why didn't they see any rewards?
Well, it was Cactus and Bear who went deep in the backline while Variant was carving them up. They found the kills in the back. The self-destruct to open things up for Bulldogs doesn't quite find anything, but Yeet has managed to get in the back, get the kill onto DYL. Apollo will chime in with the Deadeye, and now Capybara looking to close things out here and now. They want this to be the final fight here on Ilios, and they've just got a few more members of the Bulldogs to clean up.
Well, they're gonna have a Doomfist Meteor Strike as well if they actually feel like they need to throw it in. Agriculture could just be saving it for a get out of jail free.
And he will deal with Shortmat, and no one else from the Bulldogs able to make it to the point. So Capybara, after a little bit of a rocky start there on the Lighthouse, turn things around. Once they finally give us what they promised, they find their success.
Yeah, which just goes to show GOATS isn't actually always just a straight and easy victory. It really does require a lot of coordination, and teams that thrive with DPS compositions don't always do so well when transferred to the GOATS composition.
No, that's definitely true. I mean, they're so different stylistically that it can be incredibly difficult for teams to really make that transition, especially when you've been playing 3-3 and you've been playing GOATS for a year plus at this point. If you've been playing competitively that entire time. It can be hard to make that transition. It can be hard to let go if you are Capybara, and when they finally do let go there, it does result in a win for them.
Yeah, just let the GOATS die. just let the GOATS die. Blizzard have let the GOATS die. Now it's time for the teams to accept that GOATS. It's time. Every composition has a time when it falls out of meta, and I do believe the final bell has rung for the GOATS.
Yeah, well, for a little while longer, it's at least still on the table for teams if they want to fall back into the comfort pick, but in not too much time, won't even be available. But now we are going to head over to Temple of Anubis for our second map.
Well, we're probably going to actually be seeing quite a bit of dive coming out. We did see the Bulldogs try to run the Winston. Not so much success. But we might see him coming out to play just for a little, especially if, say, the Capybaras, if they defend, decide to bunker up. You can just kind of chuck a Winston in there, maybe with a Hammond as some backup, or just the normal pair of Winston Diva.
Certainly, that is going to be very interesting to me moving forward, is seeing how teams are going to attack those bunker setups, because especially on a point like point A of Anubis here, those Orisa based defenses are going to be incredibly strong moving forward. So teams have to find an answer to that style of play, and like you said, dive is definitely one way to do it.
Well, my go-to for breaking a bunker has always been Sombra. EMP is just the one way to just completely shred a bunker.
Certainly. I mean, in EMP, one of the best ultimates in the game, but especially when the entire enemy team grouped up in one location, when you can take away their movement, any abilities that they have, it definitely makes it a lot easier to get through and crack through the bunker setup.
Yeah, but we're now seeing the addition of the Batiste coming into the bunker, which kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into the Sombra's plans, because if the Batiste doesn't get caught by the EMP, then you can just throw an immortality field on your entire team and keep them nice and safe and snug.
Yeah, that's definitely a very kind of high skill play that you could come out with if you are running the Batiste. You know, a great counter play if you can pull it off. The timing there is pretty difficult to get that immortality field, you know, down with the right timing before the EMP can, you know, disable your ability to use it, or even disable the field itself. So a tough play, but one that can be a game changer at times. Are running that Batiste.
I mean, if you waste an EMP, you really do feel it in the ultimate economy. Like, it's such a huge opportunity, and also you don't normally see the EMPs being thrown in alone. You see the immediate follow-up, especially from teams, where you have either the bomb going in or a blade. So if that EMP doesn't go the way it's meant to, it's not just that ultimate you're going to lose, it's going to be at least one other one.
Certainly, and I mean, the one other thing there is that, you know, the EMP can be a good way to build up your own ult economy. You know, at times it can allow your team to win a fight without having to use a ton. Usually you'll see a little bit of a follow-up like you talked about, but it can be a tool to kind of reset and give yourself a leg up in the ult economy. Thought for a second we were going to see that Sombra from Variet, but nope, just back over to the Genji.
Well, I mean, the Capybaras, they're actually going to have Apollo on the Tourbillon. I think they were kind of anticipating a Sombra, because Apollo, Tourbillon, you can still have that turret working if you're hacked. So if you're a Bastion and you get hacked, you're forced out of your sentry mode, which means that you have to move. If you're a Tourbillon and you're hacked, it's just a little bit of an inconvenience.
Certainly, definitely not as big of a game changer there. But now, Bulldogs making their way through the choke. They've gotten in at least to the mini health pack room, trying to work their way around the right side of the point, get in position on the high ground, but Shortmat gets caught out by that halt, a little bit out of position there behind the rest of his team, and now they're stuck in an awkward spot. They've got 5 men up on the high ground, and they can take a fight, but their Mercy is stuck at spawn.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to get that Mercy back into that fight anytime soon. And you can probably expect Capybara to just jump on them, sense blood in the water, and just clean up ship.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Doggle goes down, Striker gets hit with that biotic grenade, and the remaining members of the Bulldogs not going to have much luck in this fight. As they get repelled for now, we'll see if they can get through the choke a little bit cleaner next time and give themselves a better shot.
Well, if Shortmat gets caught out again like that, then it's just going to be more of the same. The Mercy has to stay nice and safe, tucked away behind that Reinhardt shield, but if you get pulled, it's so much harder to do.
Certainly, but Yeet already behind Capybara, left over from the end of that final fight, so he's in a bit of a flanking position. Could be dangerous for the defenders. They need to keep an eye out for that Hanzo. He's looking to take down DYL, but not quite hitting the shot just yet.
Well, do they know that he's here? I don't
DYL just saw him.
DYL now knows, yes. So the team does know, and they are going to go and hunt him down. It's going to be Agriculture. It's Vector, actually, who's going to be in a little bit of a dangerous position. But now they're going to just be moving up onto the high ground, denying that from the Hanzo completely.
Yeah, that actually works out well for Bulldogs. They get through the choke without much trouble, thanks to all the attention, you know, focused in onto Yeet. So now they've got the high ground position that they were looking for all along. Now what can they make of it?
They're all tucked up in this corner, which means that if a Dragon Strike is thrown in and there's the sound arrow, so he knows exactly where they are.
Yep, pulls out the blade, the Dragon Strike is there as well for Yeet, and things are finally looking up for the Bulldogs. Cactus goes down despite the nano boost onto him, so it works out quite well for the Bulldogs there.
Yes, but there's not a lot of snowball potential, because Agriculture kept a hold of the dragons and Bear kept a hold of the superchargers. On the other side, Bulldogs, the only thing they're really going to have to work with is going to be Doggle's Grav and Shortmat's Valk. And Valk, not really the most game-changing ultimate. Grav, they can still find a lot with it, especially with the Capybaras not having anything to defend against it.
Yeah, Bear opts to just give up that supercharger in favor of going over to the Reinhardt. They choose to value the composition over the ultimate. That's interesting because supercharger is an ult that can win you a fight outright.
I mean, they could actually be looking at this next fight and really regretting that switch.
Especially as Yeet takes down Vextra immediately. The headshot there is absolutely huge. Feather is going to go down, but the res will be there for the Bulldogs as they're looking to push in. They've got the advantage here, and they've still got that grab in their back pocket.
They haven't. They've got the dragons as well. We could see the age-old combination, Hanzo and Zarya, the Wombo combo that we saw so many years before.
They're not even going to need the dragons. The grab just keeps everyone away from the point. Vextra can't quite make it there in the end to keep things going for Capybara, and that snowball is deadly for the defenders.
That it is. When Bulldogs managed to crack through that defense, they just left it dead in the water. Capybara's just left kind of scratching their heads. Maybe if they'd kept that Orisa, things would have gone a little bit differently. Orisa, as you know, can just fortify out of the graviton, which means that that's one person not caught up, one tank not caught up. Maybe you can put a shield down in front. Maybe you can halt the Genji away so that your team doesn't get bladed. A lot of maybes, and they're going to be all running through Capybara's head right now.
For sure. And I was really impressed on that attack there by the play of Yeet on that Hanzo. He had a little bit of a rough map there on Ilios. Playing the Doomfist wasn't quite working out for him, getting taken down. But now that he had a little bit more range on his side with that Hanzo, he was really showing up big.
He was getting the shots where he needed to, and he was not just that, but he was actually just kind of going behind and going, yeah, look at me, I'm a target, and every one of Capybara's just kind of turns around and goes, oh, we should probably deal with that.
No, that's definitely true. They were a little bit worried about him on point A. It gave them the entry that they needed to get through the choke point. He opened things up on point B with a great pick onto Vextra with that Hanzo, but this time back over to the Doomfist on the defense, and this is a little bit of an interesting look here. Kind of a modified bunker setup where Yeet is going to be there to kind of ambush Capybara as they come through the choke.
Well, Yeet's going to be trying to ambush, but Cactus is going to be looking for the hacks, and a hacked Doomfist is a very vulnerable hero indeed. He gets almost completely shut down if he gets hacked, and so he could just be ultimate charge at the moment for Capybaras.
Yes, and they know that Yeet is waiting up there thanks to that scout coming through for Cactus, so they have an idea of what they're going up against, but it's going to be a triple DPS look for the Capybaras with Bear going over to the Wrecking Ball. Yeah,
Yeet is actually just staying on the high ground, refusing to give up this position even though Capybaras know he's there, so they're just going to roll away from him as it is. Yes, Bear just doing the wraparound.
Yeah, he's bought his team a little bit of space. He knocks Striker off the high ground, and they do secure that kill. So the opening is here for Capybara. They're trading evenly. That's great for the attackers here as they have the closer spawns. They've gotten rid of both tanks for the Bulldogs, so it's on the DPS to turn this fight around.
Yeah, and Yeet, in all of that, he does manage to pick off Vextra at the end. He can get the pick onto the Mercy he's shown. But as his teams are dying, he's still up on that high ground waiting to find a pick. Gets maybe 2 punches and then has to run out. This is when you swap the Doomfist.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but the kill's still kind of coming in here for Capybara. They take down Feather, but the reinforcements have arrived here for the Bulldogs, so not a huge advantage at this point. They're going to throw out the Dragons to displace the defenders for right now, but not buying a ton of space right now. They do take down Berry. Agriculture back over to that Pharah is starting to make things work.
But he's been sitting on Barrage. Variet was out of the fight, wasn't able to use the Deadeye. I think they're just going to hold on to Barrage and look for that snowball, the same snowball that Bulldogs managed to achieve. Variet is going to have the Deadeye to shut the Pharah down in the sky where she flies. But short map, but he's going to be looking for the sleep as well. If you can manage to get through the next fight without putting Deadeye in and only stop the Barrage by using a sleep dart, then you're laughing and smiling right now, because that means that you have Deadeye to shut down the next push.
Certainly, but you're going to have to be pretty quick to manage with the sleep dart, especially if Agriculture gets that nano boost. But that hook onto Apollo is going to slow things down for Capybara, even as they trade out onto Yeet. Probably don't want to go in too aggressively right now.
No, not with defenders spawn being a lot closer than attackers spawn. Especially on point B, the defenders really do have that respawn advantage. I think they're actually still going to try and look for the hack. Cactus does almost get caught out for that one. A little bit too greedy from the Sombra there.
Yes, but does manage to escape with his life, and there's the Nano Barrage. The hook is going to be what shuts him down. They can't get the kill onto Agriculture, but do deny any value out of those ultimates, and they've taken down Bear in the meantime. That Supercharger is out, and that means Capybara can't really push forward. But
they pulled the Transcendence out from Fezzer, which means that they're not going to have it for when Cactus is ready to EMP. And
yes.
that is really what I think Capybaras were aiming for. If you get the point, great, you got the point. You don't have to go for any more fights. But you pulled the Transcendence out from the Zen, which means Bulldogs, if they get EMP'd, they're all just going to be sitting ducks.
That is definitely true. You know, we got Apollo with the Dragon Strike online as well for some potential follow-up on that EMP from Cactus. Could just buy them some space as well. But still quite a few ultimates on the board for the Bulldogs right now.
That it is. Variet is going to be looking for that Sombra. Probably going to be wanting to flashbang as soon as she shows her face. Because 96% that EMP is going to be up and online.
Yes, he's got it ready to go, and here comes Yeet with those mines over the top, but gets destroyed by the whole hog. Coming out from Doggle, the EMP is there, but where's the follow-up for Capybara? They can't quite get it.
There's none. There's a really nice play actually from Vexra, who uses the Dragon Strike to disguise the res. But it's just Bulldogs coming back with all these ultimates that they've been sitting on after EMP had worn off. Just tipping the scales in their favor, picking up the last of the kills, and Capybara, they really wanted that fight. They threw EMP in. And now we're seeing the swaps come. Apollo onto the Ash, Cactus off the Sombra. EMP isn't apparently going to work for them. Gonna go onto the Roadhog.
They want to go kind of with a modified bunker setup of their own, which is gonna be tough. They'll be at a disadvantage when it comes to positioning here, trying to push into Bulldogs. But they've gone all out on shield break with Apollo on the Ash, Agriculture on the Junkrat, and already almost up to his first tire.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on the Junkrat for, what, 20 seconds? And it's 86%. I know you can build ult crazy fast as Junkrat, but I was not aware it was this fast.
I mean, we've been seeing it all night. We saw it earlier with Variet, and it's been incredibly powerful so far. A great hook there from Doggle. He's just going to completely shut down that push from Capybara. They cannot push forward.
Well, we'll be waiting to see if the tire manages to hit anything. I mean, how do you really deal with the tire if you're the Bulldogs? You can hope that Variet manages to shoot it down. Maybe Fetzer is going to have to put Transcendence in because he's probably going to be target numero uno for this Junkrat.
I think you just hope that, you know, all of your team focusing on the tire can push it down. You know, you've got the Roadhog, the Hanzo, the McCree, all of those capable of dealing with the Rip tire. But so far, they don't even really have to worry about it because they've just been shutting down Capybara at every turn.
Well, that's the 60 seconds alert now going off. If Capybaras are wanting to take this point, they're going to have to find some way of doing it. And in the next minute, Apollo almost at that Bob. We might see the Nano Bob combination, but the Ana is out of the fight, and Vextra can't risk the res.
DYL got hooked twice there in that last fight, got pulled in, survived the first one, and on his escape gets shut down again by Doggle, who is just making life so difficult for Capybara.
Well, they lose Cactus as well, so again they're pushed back, forced to wait on this next push. The tire is going to be thrown in without the Roadhog.
And without any pressure from the rest of the team, so what can he really hope to find with this? He's got to find someone out of position. He will get the trans out of Feather, but no kills coming in, and so many ults remaining for the Bulldogs right now that Nano Deadeye finds the opening pick, and they are going to be able to hold on here.
I mean, Bulldogs, they just wait and wait and wait. They manage to win so many of those fights and just hold on, still having ultimates left over from the bank, that when it indeed comes to that last little bit, they can just throw in pretty much everything but the kitchen sink to make sure that Capybaras just can't touch that point.
And a lot of that comes from their ability to shut down Capybara on the entry in the first place. Doggle as well as Striker just comboing so well, those halt hooks landing time and time again. And as soon as Capybara lose one person, they have to back off. They don't draw any resources out from the defenders, and they're just behind the 8 ball the entire time.
Yeah, and if they're behind the 8 ball the entire time, how do they build ultimates up of their own to combat the defenders? If they're stuck hiding behind a wall waiting for a Roadhog to respawn, then they're not hitting the enemy, which means their ult charges, they're just moving up very slowly because of time.
Oh, and that is a beautiful response there from the Bulldogs after losing map 1 in a very close affair. They answer back there on Anubis with a really convincing showing. The attack, wonderful for them. They really blitz through the map, and then the hold is just picture perfect.
I would say it was very different from the team that we saw going into Ilios. They seem to have woken up and found how exactly to deal with Capybaras.
They are definitely finding their footing right now. And if you at home, think that anyone on either team at this point have been standing out so far, be sure to go over to the Twitch page, and right underneath the stream, you can find the MVP poll where you can vote for whoever you think is shining the most right now.
Well, my money is on the Junkrats of the teams. We've really seen some nice tires. And actually, Yeet. Not so much the Doomfist, but he really did bring his A game to that Hanzo.
No, he really found himself, on map 2 there, and that was a big part, I think, in terms of Bulldogs really turning things around. They started getting contributions not only from Variet on the DPS, but also getting Yeet to chime in as well. The tanks were really popping off. Doggle hit so many hooks there. Really a great team effort from the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, who are I love the collegiality with them. I love to see a college team like this in a tournament, and I am very excited to see them making this a close affair.
Definitely, it's always nice when teams are really close. It's never really a nice pretty picture to see a team get absolutely rolled by one another, because you get to see the matchups between like those of an equal field where it's the little slip-ups and just the popping offs where one, say like Junkrat, manages to find a triple as a tire, something that we don't actually see most of the time in Overwatch now. It makes a game, it really does. And it's gonna be Dorado that we're heading to. And so we may actually see a Bastion come out for defense or indeed attack. It's not really a common pirate ship map, but it still is a method that sometimes does get fallen back onto.
That's definitely true. It's a little bit harder to run that pirate ship, at least once you get into kind of the second point here on Dorado. There's so much high ground, there's so many angles to worry about. That it can become kind of difficult to run that. So not the most common. I feel like I see it more on the defense than anything. Teams can set up on the high ground of point A, and it can be incredibly tough to crack.
It really can, especially that first choke. If you manage to get the drop down timed right on your defense, you can full hold under that bridge, especially if you have, say, a Mei just walling one of the team off as they come in, and a Reinhardt ready to slam them up against that Mei wall.
That is incredibly powerful, and the choke point here on Dorado on point A, pretty much conveniently the size of a Mei wall, pretty much. So you can find a lot of value, and I gotta say, Mei always one of my favorite DPS picks because of like the creativity that you can bring to that hero.
Creativity, sure. Yes.
Also because I'm a sadistic.
I
I'm a
was
sadistic
going
one.
to say that the people who designed these chokes, and like I swear they took a ruler and measured exactly the length and the height to make sure that it was perfectly sized with May walls. Every single choke. I'm calling it right now. The person who designed this choke and Eichenwald's chokes and some of the chokes in Paris, they
knew
were
what they were
amazing.
doing. Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing. And I mean, how do you deal with a Mei? It used to be that you would grab a Lucio and just try and speed boost everybody past the choke so that no one person gets separated and left behind and then picked off. But now with the speed boost being nerfed, it's a little bit more difficult to try and get past that wall without losing anybody.
Yeah, you kind of have to be a little bit more creative, maybe try to bait the wall out, but doesn't look like either of our teams, at least for right now, going to have to worry about that. It is going to be an interesting kind of, not exactly a bunker setup here for the defenders. They do have Bear on the Orisa, but Agriculture playing the Pharah is going to be a little bit, a solo, or rather, I guess, a duo with Vexra in tow, laying down damage and trying to put some pressure onto the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hybrid between a bunker and a dive with the Diva and Orisa matchup. Not something we normally tend to see, but we're gonna have the Pharmacy matchup, actually. So I'm looking really forward to this. It's gonna be the not-so-friendly skies being flown, and that's Variant out!
Oh, he tries to go for the flanking Pharah, jump up behind the Capybaras, but just gets dealt with easily there. So this first fight not going in the direction of the Bulldogs. They're going to get cleaned up here. Just trying to buy some ult charge here for Striker as he pushes forward, but really had no chance. Once that fight got underway, they were kind of just trying to get the payload under this choke point.
Oh, look at Agriculture. 51% in comparison to Varia, who was sitting at under 20. And that's Varia immediately off the Pharah, opting for the Genji. So it will be the two Shamadas going to try and find something for the Bulldogs. Just open this up. Agriculture building really quickly to this barrage, though, and Cactus, similar charge to the bomb. We might see the bomb come out and the barrage, one on either side, to just hem the Bulldogs in and make sure that they die to at least one of them.
Yeah, that could be a very deadly combo, but so far just kills onto the objects for the Bulldogs right now. They're trying to push forward. That Amp Matrix already out from DYL is going to give them a lot of healing coming out from that Batiste. And despite Variant going into the back and getting some harass off, things not going the way of the Bulldogs, they're just going to have to turn tail and run.
Well, I think it's much of a waiting game for Bulldogs at the moment. Waiting for Doggo to get grab up, waiting for Yeet to get dragons, waiting for Variant to get his blade, and waiting for Striker to get the last little bit of his shatter, and they're going to be coming into next fight. And if they lose the fight which they've been waiting for, that's when it starts to get really worrying. But if you look on the other side, Capybaras, they've been playing a waiting game too. They have 5 ultimates online. They can just pick and mix whatever the hell they want to throw at Bulldogs.
Certainly those dragons coming in almost takes down Bear there. He goes incredibly low, didn't quite get out of the way in time. The multi-core for Apollo will take down Striker before, and that Earth Shatter didn't really get a whole lot. A lot of investment there for the Bulldogs and nothing to show for it.
No, not a lot to show for it indeed, and that's the payload making its way back. No, it will move forward just a little bit. Shortmat trying to do something. And the Genji just has to dash away. Are they going to be able to chase him down, or is he going to get? He's going to get back to his team. But if you're Bulldogs, you're really feeling that you put the Shatter in, you put the Dragons in. It's going to be a Nano Blade Grav combination, but Agriculture has just been still keeping this barrage, and DYL, he's not been pressured at all. He's going to just be able to chuck an Immortality Field into that all caught in the Grav.
This is a very dangerous situation for the Bulldogs. They've got to land this combo if they really want to push through here. They're slowed up by this supercharger coming out from Bear. Striker decides that no, he's not going to be stopped by that. Tries to push forward without the rest of his team and gets punished for it.
Well, they did say that the Rein would be aggressive. We didn't see it on Elias, but I think we saw it now. That is a Reinhardt going, I have a really big hammer and a shield. I can take on 5 people. Walk straight in. Yeah, I can do this. I'm the carry.
Well,
But I think his team comms would have been yelling at him to get back.
I mean, it's cost them a lot of time here. We're down to 10 seconds. This is do or die for the Bulldogs. They cannot afford to get stopped at this point. A lot going to be relying on this Dragon Blade. Variant going into the back, trying to find targets. The Immortality Field buys Capybara some time, but he's still able to take down DYL eventually, and they will break through off the back of that.
Fine. Oh, Agriculture's sitting on the barrage. They haven't used it. It isn't actually over just yet. The Farret's still alive. Has to actually... Nope. Variant not gonna let him get away from his team, and now they might be able to stagger the Mercy. They're not. They're not gonna pursue Vextra.
Now the reinforcements come in from the rest of Capybara there. They're able to rescue the Mercy there. But now, how do they reestablish themselves on this defense? They're not going to have control of high ground. They're not going to have the best position going into this next fight.
Well, I mean, at this point, I would say Ben might actually need to swap off the Orisa and go onto the Winston just to try and give some sort of high ground contest.
Certainly, but he's stuck on it for right now. Will have that immortality field to help him keep up, and that's going to be Capybara, getting back onto this point. Taking some aggression here, trying to hunt down Striker. So he just wants to retreat, but gets hit by that final rocket before he gets around the corner. Even with Variant getting in the back and chiming in, the res will be there. So Capybara holding strong for now.
Well, Agriculture has been holding onto this barrage. I do hope he actually manages to make something of it. He's been holding onto it for so long, but Bulldogs, look at the ultimates. That's almost 6. That is going to be, if Shortmap manages to get this Valk online, 6 ultimates that we're going to be seeing going on to this fight.
Oh, and there's another Nano Blade coming in from Variant to kick things off. Agriculture goes in the back with that barrage, but only finding Striker before he gets taken down. And Variant has bought his team some space to push forward here. They get this cart moving. Vextra goes for a crazy res, manages to get that one off. It's going to be worth it as he gets Bear back into the fight. Cactus barely escaping. So Capybara doing a good job of surviving in that fight while giving up a little bit of ground here, but now we're down to last fight territory once again.
Well, Bulldogs had to throw in everything. They had 6 ultimates online, and if you look, 6 ultimates was what they used. Capybaras really did manage to pull a lot of ultimates from Bulldogs that they're not going to get back. Doggle had to put in the grab. They're not going to have it for this contest.
Yes, but they've already managed to take down Bear with that reflected molten core, and the remaining members of Capybara don't quite get to the point and to recontest in time, so they will give up point B. Despite 2 very solid defenses, for both points here on Dorado, we're now down to the last phase of the map.
Well, we could see a swap from Agriculture after he's used this barrage. He's going to get it really quickly already, 83%. Amplification Matrix is definitely going to help Capybara stabilize. You don't want to be coming around the corner into that. A lot of damage in your face.
And they stop the payload at a really great time right after it gets through that wall there. So now Bulldogs have to push through the strokes. They are building up to a ton of ultimates going into this next fight. So they will need to make some progress, but they need to be conservative. They can't just blow everything. They've got to win 2 fights here.
They do. I would say actually they might need to win 3 fights if they either Capybara swap to say Lucio to just try and touch the point and keep contesting. But we've seen Bulldogs before. They get antsy. They put in almost all of the ultimates that they've been sitting on into one fight, which sometimes they don't actually need to do. They've got to play conservative. They've got to remember Ultimate Bank is a thing. Capybaras are certainly going to be remembering, and then Agriculture just waiting around looking for the back barrage.
Yeah, and this could shut them down entirely. He's going to unleash it, takes down Doggle, and Striker put in an awkward position because of that. Will get res back up, and Shortmat will escape. So now the Bulldogs going in deep. The Nano Blade out for Variant. He's going into the back. The triple kill. The quad is there. Striker? Why? Did you shatter? What?
Like it was intimidation. It was a zoning ultimate.
So they did exactly what we were talking about. They use everything they had. Doggle could get up to a Graviton Surge here as they try to push through 2-point C, but the bomb over the top for Cactus is zoning them out. Shortmat has gone down from that. The Dragon's out as well for Apollo. too many ultimates remaining for Capybara, and they look to be taking this final fight. Yeet trying to do his best, coming around the back to make something of this fight, but they're losing members left and right, and those defensive spawns are very close.
It's gonna be the Hail Mary clutch out grab if they're even gonna be able to get it up. I mean, if they get the Immortality Field out of the way, there is a chance. A very small, slim chance.
Yes, and they've managed to stay alive this entire time. Striker back into this fight here, but Doggle goes down, and Striker in a rough spot at the moment there. They're trying to keep this one going, but it doesn't look doable for Bulldogs here.
Striker, I think, is regretting that shadow. I don't know about you, but that was definitely a little bit of overcommitment on the side of the Rhine. And if you want to talk about overcommitment, that was when the D.Va bomb got launched from Capybaras. It's actually because the D.Va sees Striker charging straight away from his team with that safe shield to hide behind, and straight for him, which means it is go time for that D.Va to launch that nuke into his the enemy team and catch the Mercy out, because there's just nowhere to hide. Your Rhine is suddenly able.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what Apollo was talking about in the pregame interview. They know that Striker is going to be very aggressive. He goes in with the charge, and it kind of cost his team there a little bit. You know, the Shatter, definitely an overcommitment. Not even an overcommitment. The fight was already over. You can't, you know, it's not necessarily an overcommitment. It's almost a fat finger at that point. Although I'm sure, I doubt it was completely unintentional, but definitely would have liked to have had that one back. As they look to close that one out, that could have been, you know, a tool to give them a shot in that final fight, but they don't have it still. A pretty respectable distance that they got on that payload, considering how close we were to a full hold.
We really were pretty damn close to that full hold, and I think if you're Bulldogs, you're very happy with how you did. Although I would hope that they would look at that performance and learn from it, and be just a little bit stingy with the ultimates. Really, they have to clamp down on the ultimate economy, because it's something that teams just get so punished for. It's gonna be a pirate ship, Shy Guy, if they're gonna actually stick with this, and I believe we are. The Bastion has been broken out.
It's a 4-tank pirate ship. This is brand new. I have never seen anything even resembling this in my life. Vex are gonna have a lot on his shoulders. Playing that Batiste has to provide all the healing for this team.
Well, I mean, Agriculture has a little bit of self-sustain, as does DYL, which means you can just kind of transfer most of your attention to keeping the Orisa, the sail of that ship, up, and they're actually going to just manage to sail all the way under the bridge. The Bastion's going to get slapped.
But he's done his job. He broke the shield of Striker, and they do take down the Orisa as well, trying to hunt down Doggle in this room. He's doing his best to stay alive. But not going to be able to do it surrounded by enemies. So an unconventional setup for the Capybaras, but it works wonders.
It really does pay off, because I think Bulldogs, we weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting it.
No, they definitely were. And they lose point A off of that one fight.
That one little bit of confusion, and they haven't actually swapped off their composition. They're going to very stubbornly stick with what they're running, probably farm up to some ultimates. Throw those at this wall that is going to be the Orisa shield, and Agriculture sitting behind it. Just having for all mostly a leisurely stroll through some streets.
Certainly, Cactus contesting the high ground while Agriculture has that amplification matrix on the cart. He gets very, going for that Deadeye, gets caught out there. Agriculture just tearing through them right now.
Okay, this is when you swap off the McCree. Deadeye is not going to do anything against Apollo's shield. And even if you do manage to break the shield, Vector is just going to have the Immortality Field, and Cactus is just going to have Defense Matrix. Varia is going to go onto the Reaper, probably looking to just chunk DYL down. But then how do you deal with the Bastion?
Yeah, they're going to throw in the Dragons to try to force them off the cart. It will force Agriculture to move a little bit. He's in a tough spot right now and will go down to Doggle. So they've dealt with the primary threat, Apollo down as well. So they will be able to regain control here to stabilize a little bit on the defense.
Temporarily, because actually Capybaras, I think they were as stunned as we were that actually seemed to work. We're seeing the swaps now. Agriculture is going to go onto this far. Variant not onto the McCree, had to go to the Reaper, trying to deal with the Roadhog, which means the Pharah at the moment is going to be a little bit uncontested aside from Yeet's arrows and Doggle.
Variet is in the spawn, making the swap back over to the McCree, though. Good heads-up play there to see the changes coming out from Capybara, to immediately head back to spawn and make sure that you have something to counter agriculture at least a little bit.
Well, here's where Cactus can actually be quite happy. Striker is onto the Winston, which means no Reinhardt shield for his team to hide behind.
And that bomb just catches them all out up on the high ground. Shortmat will get to res one, but they've lost another in the meantime. Variet goes down, and this is going to be a swift point B for Capybara. Now, if you are the Bulldogs, you have got an insane defense that you've got to pull off if you want to be winning on Dorado. 4.5 minutes to pretty much finish the map here, Capybara.
I hate to say it, but swap to goats. You need the sustainability. If you're not going to be able to deal with this Pharah because agriculture is just running amok at the moment. Apollo has Deadeye. How do you deal with that? Well, Doggle's going to have Defense Matrix. You're going to send Striker in with the Primal, trying to get some time. But you're just going to have to deal with a Deadeye, a Primal, a Barrage, and a Valk just damage boosting it all.
Now Apollo up on the high ground goes for the Deadeye. A little bit enthusiastic there, a little bit overconfident with that one. Variet will deal with him shortly. The res there, but Cactus in the meantime has lost his mech, and the bomb over the top from Doggle buys them some space. They take down agriculture. So Bulldogs once again gonna be able to stabilize here, but you know they still have a long way to go.
It's gonna be a huge uphill battle for them. And I mean, are they actually gonna be able to manage it? That's the thing. Agriculture, he's just been getting free reign. Variet does have Deadeye, but there are actually a couple of places that the Pharah can hide. You can maybe just try and draw Deadeye out. Maybe Variet will throw it in as a zoning ult, trying to buy a little bit of time for his team. They definitely need it.
Certainly, but that's only going to buy you so much time. You've still got 3 minutes to go here, so you've got to worry more about winning fights than just buying time. They are going to send Baron to clear off the high ground alongside Cactus there. They're trying to get in the back with agriculture, playing pretty safely right now. Cactus over the top with that bomb, beautifully placed, takes down Shortmat, and without the mercy there, a lot of the sustainability gone for the Bulldogs.
Celebratory barrage, not so celebratory fence defense and glass shots in the face.
Oh, Variet does get one with that Deadeye, and the Dragons onto the cart are going to be able to buy them the time they need to get the regroup, to get their reinforcements back into the fight. So Bulldogs hold on here for the time being.
Capybara's hubris was their downfall. Agriculture believing the fight and map to be won. Frozen barrage at the floor, which he actually doesn't know that Fezzer is on the high ground directly above him. And so the Ana just sticks one in his back.
Yeah,
and now the swaps are coming in. And I mean, okay, that's Capybara's seeing a little bit of what Bulldogs had. Throwing in the ult when they didn't need to ult.
Yes, they get a taste of their own medicine a little bit there. But now the swap over to 3-3 for Capybara. They're just gonna try to brute force this payload down the final stretch here on Dorado, taking up position on the cart for the time being. Not working out here in this first fight as Cactus goes down early there. You know, still the firm control of the high ground for the Bulldogs is working quite well for them. Variet just has a shooting range in front of him.
Well, Striker went down so low after Primal had ended, but he's actually able to be kept up. And so he's just getting so much cleave damage. He's already almost 50% up to his next Primal, and he just came out of it. Bear is gonna have the Shadow for the next fight. Agriculture is going to have the Rally. We're probably just gonna get to see it popped and them all going forward aggressively. But if they choose to do that and commit, Variet is just gonna open queue, and it's just gonna be a shooting gallery.
Certainly, if you are Capybara, I think you need to rotate up through the high ground. You can't let Yeet and Variet just sit up there uncontested. That's exactly what they're doing. But the Dragons are there, not going to be able to take anyone down. They speed boost through the choke point and will survive. But Apollo hit with the biotic grenade, and Variet pulls out the Deadeye for the double kill there. And that puts it into this immediately. And we are down to last fight territory.
Bet, thankfully, silver lining for the Reinhardt doesn't commit the shatter. He actually dies before he sees a proper opportunity for it. And Bulldogs, they threw in the dragons, they threw in the new primal, they threw in the Deadeye, and they threw in a nano. They're only going to be sitting on a bomb and a vault to defend against this. If they get shattered, game over.
Yeah, the shatter comes in early. It only really knocks down Doggle, and they can't really follow up on it. They have to drop to the cart, but they have an opening to take the fight here, and they've got some more ultimates coming online. The Sound Barrier out from DYL to keep them all healthy on the cart. They're waiting for Apollo to build up to this Graviton Surge. That's the ult that they need. The bomb in the back does buy them some space, takes down Yeet, and they've got a 5v4 advantage here. They've got to deal with Variet. He's knocked off the high ground. The res coming in from short mat. How does he get that one off?
Cut it off!
And that gives them time. The Primal Rage out from Striker gives them more time. He gets the nano boost. Nearly impossible to kill, but the kills need to come through for Bulldogs here. They've got to find a way to secure some eliminations.
They're just not finding the kills at the moment. They're staggering in, and it's a really nice stagger. But Bear has another shatter.
And that could be the end. He's gonna throw it out. Actually hits absolutely nobody on the side of the Bulldogs, so they're staying alive in this one for the time being, but slowly bleeding members and losing any chance they have of turning this fight around, with Variet going down and Agriculture just wreaking havoc on this Doomfist. This looks like it might be the end for the Bulldogs.
This could indeed be an end for the Bulldogs. They're just not able to find the picks that they needed to just find that foothold in that fight, and the Capybaras, they cling on, and they'll take Dorado.
That is a lot closer than you wanted it to be if you're a Capybara right there. After the first 2 points, you had so much time to close out that map, and you use every second of it and more as it goes into overtime there before you can finally break through. I do like the swap that they made over to Goats for that final point. It's incredibly strong there, and it really just took them kind of building up to those ultimates for them to finally be able to break through.
I mean, Goats just has so much sustainability. Even if the DPS from Bulldogs just bleed on through, they're maybe going to get one person in a Goats team down to, say, half HP, and then a Brig Armor pack is just going to boost them all the way back to full.
Certainly incredibly hard to break through. I mean, that's why we saw Goats be the meta for so long, and why it's finally just now changing. I mean, the comp is so synergistic. All of these heroes work incredibly well together. The insane healing, the insane health pools that the tanks provide make it an insanely powerful composition. It's why it's been meta for over a year at this point. So we see it in action there on Dorado as Capybara take a 2-1 lead, and now they have an opportunity to close it out and get their first win of the All-Star Trials here as we head over to Hollywood for our final map.
Well, they're certainly going to be looking to close it out. Whether we'll be seeing the DPS or the free Goats composition coming back from them is the question, because I think they actually warmed up to playing Goats. On Ilios, they seemed a lot stronger on the DPS.
No, that's definitely true. They found their footing there a little bit on Dorado at the very end, although their DPS comp's still looking pretty strong for the most part. So I'm really impressed with the flexibility that Capybara are bringing to the table right now. They have the ability to go with whatever the situation calls for. And there at the end of Dorado, it calls for Goats. They make the swap, and they close things out to grab a 2-1 lead in what I gotta say has been just an insanely entertaining series so far.
It really has. We've seen some brilliant, beautiful plays, especially that Bend It Like Diva bomb on point C. That was just, that was perfection.
Oh, and if you at home have enjoyed what you've gotten to see tonight, consider dropping us a sub or a follow here at Star Esports. We appreciate any contribution that our viewers can give, to let us keep doing what we're doing here, bringing you this excellent Overwatch so far. But we've got one more map before we're done here tonight. Hollywood is where we're headed, and like you said, this gives teams quite a bit of options here. A traditionally very strong Goats map, but not one that is really, unusable for DPS.
Well, there's so much high ground that you can actually run a really good Widow here. You can have so many options to set up as well. You can bunker in the back, have an Orisa and a Bastion just hidden all the way behind the point, and if they want to contest, they have to come right in front of you. And as soon as you see them, you just shoot them. And the way that Bastion works is you just mow them down in Bastion bullet hell.
Certainly, and this is definitely one of the better points for that kind of bunker defense. You can sit up in the cafe here on point A, and it's really hard to close that gap as an attacker. If you want to get up in the face of the Bastion, a lot of times you really have to rotate around the back, and that can be a hard thing to do, just getting through the choke point in the first place.
Well, we saw, especially on point A of Anubis, that some of these teams really do struggle with getting that rotation. You lose. It's so easy to get one team member just pulled out of position, either voluntarily or involuntarily by some sort of a CC or halt. And if you lose one person in a rotation, it's so hard to be able to bring them back into a fight without just completely losing your entire team and having to reset entirely.
Certainly, and now the pressure is on a little bit here for Bulldogs, because you've got one more map in this series, and if you can take this one, you will avoid your first loss of the season here. If they can come away with a win on Hollywood, we will have a tie here tonight. But it's going to be fascinating to see what these teams opt to run with. I suspect we'll see quite a bit of Orisa on the defense, at least on first point. And speak of the devil and Hime up here, Bear back over to the Orisa. Apollo breaking out the Bastion again, this time on the defense though.
Oh, and May Cactus. No, Shy Guy, you've summoned Satan. What have you done? I don't care about the Bastion. I'm not worried about Apollo. It's the May. This is going to be such a horrifying addition. You're going to have to deal with the Bastion on the ground, the fire in the sky. And if, say, you decide to try and flank or rotate around, Cactus is just going to be a thorn in your side, as spiky as his name suggests. How do you deal with a maid trying to stop you from rotating? If you go one way, you're going to get walled. If you walk into her, you're going to get frozen.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredibly tough setup to break. I mean, if you are Bulldogs here, in my mind, the best way you can go about this is go for kind of a long range pokey composition. Run something like a triple DPS with like an Ashe of the Hanzo, and then a third DPS of your choice, maybe a Sombra to bust up that bunker. They're starting things off with the Genji and the Hanzo as their DPS duo. If that changes once they see the Bastion and the May, we'll just have to see.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, Variant is not going to be on this Genji for long. I would predict 7% to a Blade. Definitely not going to be losing much if he swaps. There is still time, but I think they're actually going to try and run this.
It looks to be the case. They don't want to give it up just yet. Variant on his own going for a bit of a flanking mission right now around the backside as the rest of his team try to push through the choke point, but Striker he can't push forward far at all without having his shield melted.
Shaga, there's been a little bit of a magic trick. We've been bamboozled. Cactus is off the May and suddenly up to Diva.
Well, okay,
What?
that makes life a little bit more fun for the Bulldogs here. They don't have to worry about that, but they still have to worry about agriculture up in the sky, and he is going bananas right now. Gets the triple kill, looking for more, takes down Feather as well. Can he go for the... They stole the last kill from him.
They stole the last kill? No! You don't do that, DYL. Not cool. But I mean, agriculture is gonna have powers up faster than Apollo is gonna have tank mode. That says a lot about exactly how much damage this Pharaoh is lobbing in. We're actually gonna see the swaps coming in from Bulldogs. They're gonna go off the Reinhardt, and they're gonna opt into actually yeeting a gorilla into the mix of the Capybaras. I don't see that paying off very well for the Winston, but we'll have to see how it goes.
This is not
They do get a pick onto Agriculture, but the res is there, so no harm really done there. The dive coming in, he doesn't even make it onto the high ground there, does Striker. He's a little bit low at the moment in that tank mode. Out from Apollo now, looking for targets, hasn't quite found anything just yet. And as I say that, Variant will go down to the shell, and Striker getting dealt with pretty easily there, as Capybara looking incredibly strong on this defense.
Oh, and they even managed to somehow stagger Variant because the Mercy brings him back into the fight and he just nopes immediately out of this. Doesn't want any part in that, and you can see why Agriculture, another barrage. Apollo at 30% to his next tank ult after having just used it. Cactus does throw in the bomb, which is probably a little bit of a overkill. But I mean, Capybaras are sitting on so many ultimates. It's just one in the bank that you're going to get back pretty quickly before Bulldogs really get a chance to try and take point A.
Yeah, especially with this supercharger ready to go, that could win them a fight outright, but the Dragons force Capybara off the high ground. Apollo goes down in the meantime, but the res is there in Agriculture. Deep into the back, gets the double kill with the barrage before he goes down. So Capybara looks like they are going to be able to maintain here.
A very strong hold coming out from Capybara. Bulldogs, they're gonna have the Winston Primal and the Blade with the Nano to back it up. But I mean, you're just gonna have so much damage as soon as you've shown your face. How do you manage to get a Blade off?
That's a good question. It could be Striker going in first as a little bit of a distraction to give his DPS an opportunity. The Blade is out and Variant looking for targets. Right now he's only taken down DYL, but that might be the opening they need. They've created some chaos. Apollo is off the field, and the Bulldogs have broken through here.
Well, I think there was a little bit of uncertainty on the Bulldogs side as to whether or not that Zen had transcends, but Agriculture is putting his team on his back and carrying Shy Guy. What is this?
Oh, he got slept in that last fight, but they couldn't quite secure the kill, and now they are paying the price for it. He's got the barrage, he's unleashed it, does manage to survive for a little while, doesn't get any kills, but his team is back in this. The res is there from Vextra, and this might be it for the Bulldogs. They needed to take point A to have a chance.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, you really do feel that one. Oh, if they'd managed to kill that Farah.
I mean, it was so close. Striker was going for it. They got the sleep. Fezer made the play that you need to as the Ana there, but they wake him up and can't quite get enough burst damage in onto that Farah to break through the pocket from Vextra. So Agriculture gets back up, makes them pay for that mistake. And
I mean, they don't manage to break Agriculture, so he gets up and breaks their spines. Pretty much. I imagine what it would feel like if you get hit by one of those fire blasters. They are powerful things.
Certainly. And now it looks like that is actually going to mean that Capybara are going to win the series here tonight. The worst they can do at this point on Hollywood is a tie if they get full held. So they will be coming away with the win here tonight. Before we get into the action here, I do want to quickly shout out Cube Gamer for the Prime sub. Thank you very much, my man. We really appreciate it here at Star Esports. So, we thank you for the support, and now we've got just a little bit more Overwatch here left in this match.
We do. It's gonna be Bulldogs just fighting to just try and salvage their name, get a little bit of honor and respect pulled back from losing this. And Agriculture's gonna be on the Farah. Of course he's gonna be on the Farah. I'm not even surprised. He's been doing so well on it. What else is he gonna play? I thought maybe we might see a little bit of surprise Widow thrown into the mix, but it's gonna be a Bastion that they're gonna be walking into. So maybe he's not gonna be on the Farah for long.
Yes, but they know that the Bastion is on the field. They've got Apollo in behind the Bulldogs right now, getting some scouting off with that Sombra, and that looks to be the way that they want to try to bust through that bunker setup. If Apollo can build up to that EMP, then they'll have a pretty good time. He gets the hack onto Variant, so the Bastion having to back off a bit.
Well, they're just getting point, and at the moment, there's no Shy Guy, there's no contest. Oh, they managed to touch in the next time.
And Yeet is the only one on the point at the moment. He will take down Bear, but the res is in for Capybara. They're trying to push forward. Striker gets biotic grenaded, goes down. He was the last one standing on the point. Capybara finish things off quickly and take it here on Hollywood.
Yes, in a very dominant fashion, I would say. They really did find exactly what they needed to run after that little hiccup on Ilias starting out.
Yes, and you know they really made a strong comeback over the course of this series, and I gotta say, you know, we thought we might have been baited at the beginning of the match, you know, when they rolled out with goats for the first point, but they really, you know, Apollo was not lying in the end. He was telling the truth. They rolled with a lot of DPS compositions here tonight, and you know they looked very polished on them.
They did indeed look very polished. We were told to watch out for agriculture, and I'm very glad that I had my eyes on that Farah because, oh, he put up some beautiful plays.
No, absolutely. That dude was popping off the entire night. You know, they put a lot of resources into him. Vexra was tagging along on the Mercy the entire time, pretty much. But you know, the individual plays from Agriculture and the rest of Capybara were just a little too much for the Bulldogs to handle here tonight.
Yes, indeed. Well, commiserations to the Bulldogs. They played valiantly. And congratulations to the Capybaras.
Absolutely. They get started off on the right foot here in the All-Star Trials. And now we are going to be joined for a special treat, a post-match interview with the man we were just talking about. Agriculture is joining us.
What's up?
Well, welcome. And can I say some beautiful, amazing plays for Farah, dude? I did not know she could carry that well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to start, I guess, with the how things started off in the series on Ilios. You guys were a little bit slow to start off because you rolled out with the goats composition, despite the way things kind of ended up going. Was that something that you were a little less practiced on, or what do you think was kind of the reason you got off to a slow start?
In the first few manifestations of the team that I was on, we were a heavily goats. And that was all we practiced, but we had some roster changes, and with the announcement of 222 lock coming out, we started to practice mostly 222 comps and scrims, and so our goats was really rusty. So we felt like it was it was good on the map, and because the tournament isn't locked to 222, we'd be able to get away with it. But in the end, we kind of realized okay, we're better at 222 comps. This is what this roster is built for. Let's just go in with that and do our best.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Shy Guy is going to ask about the starting maps. I'm going to go completely on the opposite side of the spectrum. What was going through your head in Bulldog's attack that lost little bit on a Hollywood defense when you just absolutely popped off?
Oh, I mean, that was probably the most focused I've ever been in a match. Nothing except Overwatch was going through my head, and honestly, I did really well. I think that was some of my best Farah play, but it's all the team synergy. We're coming out on these comps that we came up with in scrims, and we're practiced on them, and we know our win conditions. We know what each individual player on our team has to do. We're a pretty well-oiled machine at this point, and I'm really proud of my team. It wasn't just all me. And as soon as that play was over, as soon as I saw the victory sign, as soon as I saw victory pop up on Hollywood, I was like, wow, Capybaras, we did it. Like it was a we thing, you know?
Yeah, that's phenomenal to hear. I really appreciate when teams like you guys can come into a game like this and really have a style and make it your own. So props to you guys on really showing up here.
Yeah, thank you. This is such a great opportunity for teams that have been working really hard to show what they have.
I mean, capybaras are going to be the new Clockwork Vendetta. Everyone's going to be playing a composition now that they've seen how well it works.
We're coming out on the clown strats.
Is that what you're calling it? The clown strats?
Nah, I just came up with that right now.
Oh, well,
But-
tough. I'm trademarking it. Let's see. Let me write that down in my notebook. Clown strats. And
Yeah, use that in comp.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look forward to any opportunity I get to embarrass myself playing Farah. So.
I mean, yeah, actually, I kind of want to see you play Farah now. Can we get the matchup between agriculture and Shy Guy in the future?
You don't want that.
I would be down, you know. I'm not opposed to such an altercation.
For my pride's sake, I think I'm gonna have to pass on that one. I don't need to be humbled like that.
Well, Apollo actually said like earlier in the first interview that you guys were kind of gonna jump on Bulldog's aggressive Reinhardt. Do you think you managed to achieve that?
I think so. A lot of times when they were coming in with their set plays, like they were either choosing to go left or right. Let's take Hollywood for example. When they're Ryan, he was trying to push up. He was trying to like shield his team through, and I used the conch grenade on Fair to just boop him out, and then we were able to pump. Like he plays in positions where it's really easy for us to get CC off on him, or like anti-grenades off the wall from Ana, or just punish teammate, because his playstyle, he's expecting us to play scared, and we were playing scared on Anubis, but I think on all the other maps we were able to kind of take control of the fight and play it the way that we wanted.
Very cool.
You did, Shy Guy? Any more questions?
Not anything in particular. I was just gonna give agriculture an opportunity to throw some shout outs to anyone he wants to to highlight here.
Oh man. Well, first of all, my team, all my teammates who have stuck through the ups and downs of this team and seen it transform from like many different styles, many different looks. And the coaches, like they've been talking to us this whole, like throughout my entire Overwatch journey. Like, I mean, for like competitive scrimming and stuff, they've been talking to me and like telling me the things that I need to hear, and the thing, like sometimes they're just like hard truths, and I think it's helped me like grow as a player so much. So I just want to shout out to like everyone involved at Capybara's HQ. Like they're all super hardworking, super dedicated. Yeah, and my friends back home in New York, a lot of you quit Overwatch, but I'm still here. I'm still popping off in your name, in your honor.
Absolutely, you're definitely making them proud right now, and who knows? A lot of people coming back to the game now that 222 is on the horizon.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
Are you hyped for that? Yeah, I think everybody's
so
hyped
excited.
for that.
I'm sick of having to not play DPS.
Oh, were you the break player? Were you stuck in brick jail?
Something like that.
Or are you not allowed to say? Is that like
I don't
instantly kicked off the team?
I don't want to.
Well, I mean, congratulations to you and your team and your coaches. You've grown phenomenally. Words, phenomenally.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll continue to grow further.
Yeah, I wanted to specifically mention our coaches. Our head coach Zeplis, He's been working with us like every single day, as well as our other coaches, G-Man, it's like hit scan player, crazy good. Barletta, main tank, genius, guru, fucking. Oh, sorry. Einstein on the main tank. Mordred, Bortle. We just have so many great people, like, with us to help out. Sorry for the Sailor Man.
It's fine. Well, I'm being told that Yeet is the viewer's MVP. He did do quite a lot on that Hanzo, especially on Anubis. Actually, we can ask you now. What was the reaction when you found out there was a Hanzo behind you?
Well, I was in my head. I was like, I can take this guy. I can do it now. So you saw I jumped from main. I used my leap cooldown, and then that kind of left me hanging dry. And they popped their ults, and I just got destroyed. So
yeah, we did kind of see it all coming together, and we're a little bit unable to look away. It was almost like a car crash where you just you know what's coming, and you're like, oh no.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, we ended up a lot of stuff that we were talking about before the match happened. We were like talking about how we didn't want to like play on tilt. We didn't want to get frustrated. We just wanted to play our best game and like play the way that we've been practicing.
Well, you definitely brought your A game.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Agriculture, for joining us for the interview. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and of course, a pleasure casting your games here tonight. It was a truly entertaining series from start to finish. So, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for bringing us DPS. We love seeing DPS.
It's been a long time.
It has been, but it's back now, so we can all
Yeah.
rejoice.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, that is going to do it for us for now here at Star Esports. I will be back in just about 30 minutes with some more action from the All-Star Trials. We've got Peppermint Twist going up against Team Cancer. But, God, Moxie, it's been so fun to cast with you here tonight. We kicked things off on a great note. And, you know, I'm really excited for what this tournament has in store for us.
I am excited as well and looking forward to seeing what it's going to continue to throw at us. If it's going to be more DPS players like that, count me in.
Absolutely. So we will see you all on the other side of this break. Thank you so much for joining us.
Night, guys.